going to input what you all have come up with. This is what happens when you put your clicker in your pocket. All right, so let's start with group 1. Don't judge me for how many tabs are open right now. Group 1, go ahead and give me a few of your thoughts.
So we just had some like bullet points, I guess. So we thought that the way that it like differs, I guess, or what it like means to us would be someone who understands the effect of words on people, and actions. And then having an awareness of other people's emotions and their own.
An awareness of their actions and
An awareness of other people's emotions and their own emotions.
Great.
And especially if that person isn't exactly saying how they feel, but they're picking up on their emotions based on that person's actions, maybe, or how they're.
And then I guess like a distinction that we made there that's kind of important is like it doesn't necessarily mean that you can control those emotions, but you're just aware of them, like even within yourself.
control emotions. Just aware. Great distinction. All right.
And that they're empathetic.
Empathy. Okay, and empathetic, describe empathetic for me.
I guess like, again, it's like the awareness of emotions, or just being able to like understand people beyond like maybe what they're saying, or like even if you haven't been in a situation, you can understand how they feel. But again, like an important distinction to make is like empathetic, not necessarily sympathetic.
Okay.
You know how they feel. It doesn't mean that you like feel badly about it.
Sure. Great. All right, nice job, group 1. Group 2, what you got?
Our definition is understanding your emotions, others' emotions, and why they feel the way they do.
Understanding your emotions,
Your emotions,
others'
others'
emotions,
emotions,
and
why they feel the way they do.
so how they arrive at those emotions, why
Yeah.
they feel the way they do.
So one thing that Eric added that I think was important is how they can affect each other.
How?
So like how our emotions can affect other people as well, like when we display them in certain ways.
Sure. So
Or how they interact, I guess.
how we display our emotions impacts other people. And I'm remembering when you guys say stuff, I may repeat it and like project it so that the audio can pick it up. So I'm not hard of hearing. That is how we display our emotions affects other people, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So we've done our inductive work. This is kind of what we can compile from our experience, our knowledge. This is our best crack at defining our learning task question, which is what is emotional intelligence? Why does it matter for us or for an organization? So let's move on. Does anybody remember what the next part of a learning task was? The second step. It was induction. You only saw it once, so I'd be super impressed. Kendra.
Impact. Input.
All right, equalize over there. Nice job. Very well done, Kendra. One way or another, you got it. Input. So input is where we're going to be learning some content. Basically, receiving information, applying it to our inductive work, our starting point. So I'm going to give you the working definition of emotional intelligence by the people that kind of founded this. Salve is a guy from Yale, and Meyer was from UMass. And back in 1990, they basically formulated, through a series of, I think it was qualitative research that they did with a number of different people, of kind of digging up this structure and idea that IQ is kind of the determinant of our intelligence and our success in life, whether that be relational or career driven. And they kind of decided, we don't think that's the best indicator. And they developed this definition and kind of framework for what emotional intelligence is. We're going to then watch a quick video on Daniel Goleman. He kind of took what they started and really popularized it. He published a book called Emotional Intelligence, and that is when I would say emotional intelligence really kind of took off and has become more and more mainstream in terms of organizational understanding and really even being incorporated into what employers look for in their employees. So, emotional intelligence is a set of skills hypothesized, again this was early research, to contribute to the accurate appraisal and expression of emotion in oneself and in others, the effective regulation of emotion in self and others, and the use of feelings to motivate, plan, and achieve in one's life. So it's very widespread, very wordy. It's incorporating a lot. We're going to break that down to simplify it a little bit, starting with Mr. Goleman's video here. So I've got the volume cranked up all the way on my laptop. Hopefully we can hear this guy. If not, we'll skip over it. Second try.
Emotional intelligence refers to how well we handle ourselves and our relationships. There are four domains. Self-awareness, knowing what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, which is the basis of, for example, good intuition, good decision making. Also, it's a moral compass. The second part is self-management, which means handling your distressing emotions in an effective way so that they don't cripple you, they don't get in the way of what you're doing, and yet attuning them to them when you need to so that you learn what you must. Every emotion has a function. Also, marshaling positive emotions, getting ourselves involved, enthused about what we're doing, aligning our actions with our passions. The third is empathy, knowing what someone else is feeling. And the fourth is putting that all together in skilled relationship. So that's what I mean by emotional intelligence. There are many definitions out there. The part of the brain, it turns out, that supports emotional and social intelligence is actually the last circuitry of the brain to become anatomically mature. And because of neuroplasticity, the brain shapes itself according to repeated experiences. So my argument is, maybe we should be teaching kids regularly, over time, in a systematic way, self-awareness, self-management, empathy, and social skill. In fact, there are now enough programs, and they've been around enough in schools, that they're about to publish a huge meta-analysis looking at hundreds of schools and kids that have the program versus those that don't. Guess what? All antisocial behavior, disruption in class, violence in school, goes down 10%. Pro-social behavior, like in school, well-behaved, up 10%. Academic achievement scores up 11%. So it really pays. Executive function, which is mediated by the prefrontal lobe, both helps you manage your emotions and helps you pay attention. So as kids learn these skills, they also learn basic learning skills. I think that the fact that that was an argument was one thing that caught people's attention. Then there was a little chapter on called Managing with Heart, which argued that leaders who were sons of a bitch were actually defeating the company's own mission. I think that made a lot of people happy because they work for people like that. I don't know. Some people gave it to other people because they thought they needed help in this domain. Now, I'm sure there's a zillion reasons why
I wanted to get to that last part because some of you may have resonated with your leadership here at your organization, as we all oftentimes do, get frustrated with the leaders above us and want to force ideas onto them. But part of the reason I left that in there is because as much as we want to say, like, hey, you need more emotional intelligence, it is something that, regardless of your position, emotional intelligence can work from both sides of the equation to make the byproduct in the middle better. And so, regardless of how someone else interacts, that's always going to impact you, but emotional intelligence is going to allow you to better respond to that person, better manage your emotions, and understand how to work around the difficult situations that may exist. So, bouncing off of that, hopefully that made a little bit of sense, and we're going to break up to kind of discuss that and make sure it did. But I want to throw this out there. This is really kind of the motivation behind why emotional intelligence exists. It is kind of an emerging tool being used to measure, or at least something that suggests there's strong correlation between these qualities that are mentioned in emotional intelligence and the success of an individual, whether that be, again, career-oriented, personally oriented. It's a wide range of ways in which someone will be attributed success in their life according to how they go about their life. So, will someone quickly read for me Daniel Goleman's quote on why does emotional intelligence matter? Any volunteers? Kendra.
If your emotional abilities aren't in hand, if you don't have self-awareness, if you are not able to manage your distressing emotions, if you can't have empathy and have effective relationships, then no matter how smart you are not going to get very far.
Awesome. So his point is, emotional intelligence argues that it doesn't matter how much head smarts you have. It is really these other factors of managing your distressing emotions, having effective relationships, being able to empathize. These things are much better gauges of how successful someone is going to be in their job, in their family, whatever it may be, and kind of throws out the window this idea that IQ is king in terms of intelligence. So, in terms of scientific research, there's more and more data coming out. Actually, some really interesting stuff. This is a book that I have on emotional intelligence by Bradbury and Reeves. They are actually doing a lot of research on emotional intelligence in China, actually, and documenting kind of the correlation between China's emergence in terms of economic growth and some of the aspects of emotional intelligence that are there. Now, that's not to say they possess all the qualities that contribute to emotional intelligence, but again, you can be strong in some areas of emotional intelligence and not others, which we're going to get into on this next slide. So, what I would like you to do, what Goleman talked about in the video is presented here on this, is presented here on this quadrant here. So, break up into pairs for me. And I would like each of you to try to explain to one another, using this model, what the four components of emotional intelligence are and how they interact with one another. Does that make sense? So grab a partner. I think group 2, you may need to have a group of 3, and that's okay. Take a minute and a half. If you don't have it down straight, let's get our questions up to the surface so that we can throw them out to the group and see what one another think.
Wait, the only thing I'm confused, are the 4 components these 4 things, or the empathy, social skills?
Yeah, great question. So there's 2 different lines of thought, and basically we're talking about 4 in our class discussion. We're going to go with self-recognition, otherwise known as self-awareness, self-regulation, which we're already familiar with, and then social awareness, social recognition, also relationship management. The thing that throws a wrench in it is he talked about empathy, which is here in social awareness. And then also some research breaks down self-management or self-regulation into not only being able to manage your emotions, but also use them to motivate and create productivity. So, so that's why you see the 5. But we'll go with the 4: self-recognition, self-regulation, social recognition or awareness, and relationship management or social management.
Okay.
So great question, Sarah. Thanks for clarifying that.
Alright,
So you have to grab a partner.
Okay. Alright.
See if you can kind of.
Yeah, what are we writing about them?
So
Really confused.
the question is, let me put it up here for you. Describe the 4 components or skills that make up emotional intelligence and their connection to one another. Okay? So I'll give you a pass on the first one and leave this up there. So you've got the 4 in front of you, but be able to kind of describe how they relate to one another.
Okay.
Again, doing some inductive work here.
Do you have to take notes?
Just writing down.